Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the UAFS Lions Athletic Podcast. I am Justin Pomplin, and today I am joined by Cadence Hodge and later on Caleb Ligon. First off, our first guest, Cadence Hodge, broke the 5K record at the RSU Distance After Dark to open the season this year in a time of 17:53.9, and then later this year broke the 6K record at the UAH Chargers Invitational in 22:05.0. Cadence, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
So, with these records you're running, do you have a sense that you're on a good pace during those races?
I just pretty much go with what my body's telling me. So at the end of the day, it's just I focus on my training that I've been, and it usually takes me where I want to go.
I say because everyone's got their little the watch.
I don't really pay. I start the watch, but I don't look at the watch. My dad or Coach Rose is usually there to tell me when I hit a mile point or something.
I say, what is that feeling like afterwards in the race when Coach Mason says, "Hey, you broke the 5K record, the 6K record"?
I had no clue. Kelsey, the previous 6K record, is my high school coach's wife, and so we have a really good relationship with them. So she had told me like, "Hey, I want you to break this record," but I didn't even know. I didn't know what the record was. So
now, speaking of broken records, you broke the 5K, the mile, the 800 meter, and the 4x800 record at Southside High School. And the mile just so happened to be your neighbor's record. Talk a little bit about that.
We took her a cookie after because she was really sad about it. But I feel like track season last year was just kind of a fever dream. I trained really hard in the spring and then the winter, and it just kind of all lined up and went through the motions.
So when did you really know that you wanted to pursue cross country as like a collegiate sport, something that you knew you were good at?
So I started out as a cheerleader, so that's what I wanted to do.
Quite the change.
Yeah, and then my parents made me join track in 7th grade, and I absolutely hated it. And then eventually I found out you can get more money for running because no one wants to run. And so then I started having really good seasons, and I was kind of like, this could be fun to do. And UAFS came and offered me, and so it just worked out. Now,
with that, with UAFS offering, what is it like to run, in your hometown for your hometown university?
I don't know the last person that's ran for UAFS that went to Southside or Northside. So I think just kind of seeing that, I'm able to represent Fort Smith and Fort Smith, and that, now younger girls are starting to talk about going to UAFS when they didn't even see it as an option. So I think it's really cool, and seeing Southside repost all this stuff that, they all have my back still.
Yeah, and speaking of being local, have Southside helping you out, all the support they're giving you. You have a twin sister that you ran with a lot growing up. So talk about a little bit about running with her growing up.
I'm really jealous of her because she sleeps in the morning and she wakes up when I get back from practice. But I think it was beneficial. Now the Malik twins, I'm able to see a twin relationship from the outside, and it makes me kind of jealous. But I'm able to. She goes to every race, and she's there at practice. She was at practice last week. So just having still her know that she's supporting me, I still have the twin support.
So, even though she's not actually out there running with you.
She knows my pain.
and like you said, having the other set of twins on the team, that's something unique that not many places have. So you run with hemiplegic migraines. Talk a little bit about what those are.
So it's a specific type of migraine where my right side of my body will have pretty much stroke-like symptoms, so I won't have control of my right side of my body. So I actually experienced that at one of the meets this year in Joplin. So this weekend I was able to go back and see that, and I wasn't able to remember any of the course, which was very bizarre. But I think of it kind of more as an obstacle that everyone has to face. Everyone has obstacles. Mine just happens to be a little bit more severe, but I don't think of really as, this is going to stop me from running. This is just going to help me build my character to run.
So what are some steps you take to deal with it, during training and during a race itself?
Stress management has been a big part of it, and I think of whenever I was having a lot more episodes, I was making running kind of my identity, and so I think I had to just go back to, this is a part of me, and it's not me. So I think just being able to put some management on my stress and make it a part of me that is fun to do and I get to do really helps.
I say, because with collegiate running and going to school, there's a lot of time management, a lot of things you have to balance, to kind of handle all that stress. So you already got the 2 records. I think you're seated in the top 20-ish or so for the conference meet this weekend. And I can't remember how many Mason said get to make the all conference team. But what kind of are your goals for this weekend in the conference meet?
Just do my best on that day. I mean, every day is a new day, and my body feels a different way every day. So just kind of getting out and doing what I'm prepared to do, I'll be happy with the results.
And now in high school, you run 5Ks, and all throughout the season, you run 6Ks or 5Ks until you get up to the conference meet. How beneficial was it to have a 6K meet at Huntsville in preparation for the conference meet?
I was not ready for the 6K. I mean, I'm more of a shorter distance person, so that first mile, I blew up. I ran a 5:30 mile. I was not prepared. So I think just having that meet to kind of be like, oh, this is a slower paced, longer race, it was really beneficial because I would have went into conference and I would have raced a 5K. And
a 5K pace and a 6K. Where it's unlike the guys, they run those longer races, throughout the year. But you're still running the same distance for the women.
Yeah.
There's not that transition.
Conditioning.
So you mentioned you like to run the shorter distance. I think Mason mentioned that for the upcoming track season. I mean, we don't officially have track, but you guys go and compete in the spring, kind of stay in condition for the fall. He said you wanted to kind of explore those shorter runs.
Yeah. I enjoy track a lot. It's more natural to me than cross country. Cross country is more of a trained endurance thing. So we got to do 400s this morning, and I was kind of excited for it.
I mean, that's kind of how I did it one year in cross country in high school. I was like, this is training for basketball.
Yeah, that's what I originally started cross country. I didn't start cross country until my junior year, and it was just staying straight for track. So. And
now look at you.
Yeah, now I'm on a cross country team.
Speaking of Coach Rhodes, what have you learned the most from him in your time here?
I mean, he is very big on the person, not the athlete. So he is very about building relationships with his athletes and not just showing up to practice every day. And if you run good, you don't. He cares more about how you're feeling and how class is going. So I think just like a personal connection, I've really learned from him how to manage stress. He's helped a lot with managing stress and having fun with the sport.
So we've talked a little about all the cross-country aspect now, kind of all that stuff. Now we're going to have a little fun here on the podcast with this or that. So driving or flying?
Flying.
So where's the place you've flown to or something?
We lived in Hawaii.
So
I've done a lot of flying, and I hate driving.
Drive there. So did you ever, boat? Nah. Boat anywhere? Did you like to be on the lake or something?
Oh, I get so seasick. But on flights, I have to take motion sickness medicine or I'll throw up everywhere. But driving, I didn't get my driver's license until I was 18 because I didn't want to drive. So
we learned something new.
Yeah.
Lived in Hawaii. I think that should answer this next one, winter or summer.
Oh, summer. I go into tanning beds because I get too pale. So that's why I stay tan year round.
I'm sure Hawaii had something to do with that too. Cats or dogs?
Dogs. I have a dog named Stormy, and we have a cat named Spencer, and they don't like each other.
So what kind of dog?
German Shepherd.
How old?
She's 2.
Oh, so she's just a young one.
She has plenty of energy to go around.
With this holiday coming up, Halloween or Christmas?
Christmas. I have a nephew coming. And so he's supposed to be here around Christmas. So this year I'm really excited for Christmas.
I just had a niece born on Christmas Eve last year.
Yeah, he's supposed to be born the end of December. So it's going to be fun.
I always joke, she's going to get one present. But no, you can't do that. You gotta make sure they get the separate birthday and Christmas presents.
Well, I'm a poor college student, so it might be one present.
Just ask your family, ask some dad or something for some. Here, we all go in together. Yeah, there you go.
Present.
Would you rather be the funniest person or the smartest person in the room?
Probably the smartest, because being funny doesn't make money, I guess.
And then movies or TV shows?
TV shows. I can't stay focused for movies.
Do you have a favorite show? Something you binge?
Probably either Gossip Girls or One Tree Hill.
You're going back in
Yeah,
time.
the early 2000s. Yeah.
Nothing more recent?
No, they were better whenever they were.
I don't
back
watch
then.
either of them, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
And so this next one, we're off this or that, but this is a question from our previous guest, and you get to ask one for the next person.
Okay.
Bree Ball from volleyball wanted to know, what is your spirit animal? I wouldn't know how to answer that either.
Yeah.
So
probably a koala, because all they do is eat and stay there. Like, if I could just eat and hang around, I probably would.
that's a good enough answer for me. Now we got Caleb sitting here in the corner. You got a question for him? I know it's tough to put you on the spot.
I don't know. We should maybe let me think about this first. Dream meal.
A dream meal.
If you eat anything.
I'll let him think about that here. A dream meal. And then lastly, what are you going to school for?
Elementary education.
And I think Mason said you want to be a teacher.
I do, with my twin sister. We have this whole plan to teach at the same school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear a little bit about this plan.
Well, she's going to teach, she wants to teach like 4th grade.
Mhm.
I want to teach like 3rd grade. And so we're just going to like switch around and our kids can get each other, and then we can see who's the better teacher after.
Well, what if they're confused?
I know. We always talk like we should switch places and see if they would even notice.
See what happens.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be a fun job.
I feel for those kids. All right, well, Cadence, thank you for joining us, and good luck this weekend at the MIAA Conference Championships, and then again later on at the Regional Championship.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back, and we'll have Caleb join the show. All right, welcome back. We are now joined by men's basketball special assistant to the head coach, Caleb Ligon. Caleb, welcome.
It's going to be tough to follow up Cadence, but I'm glad to be here. Glad someone asked me to join on the podcast today.
I know you've been looking forward to
I
it
have
all
for
week.
a couple weeks, Justin's been asking me for about 2 weeks. I finally gave in and said, let's do it.
All right, well, we're glad to have you here. Well, Caleb, you're a local kid from Greenwood. You went to Williams Baptist. You played on the JV team there for, I think, a semester before switching to the manager for the varsity team. Talk a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, so I didn't get recruited out of high school. Went to a couple tryouts, different places. Finally, mid-June, got an offer to play on the JV team and be a manager for the varsity team at Williams Baptist. Played my first semester on the JV team while managing for the varsity team. So I kind of went back and forth between practices for JV while being a manager for varsity. And then got back from Christmas break, and the head coach and I had talked about me just doing the assistant job full time. And so from there, I became a student assistant for the following semester before I transferred.
You transferred here.
I did transfer here.
We're so glad you transferred here. What went into your decision to transfer here, and how did you get involved with the basketball program?
So there was a few different places I was looking at, but my biggest thing was finding a good fit in which I could prepare myself to become a better coach in the future. And so looking at different schools where I could have an immediate impact on the program was very beneficial and critical for me. And so talking with the previous coaching staff that was here before Coach Gibson, they kind of showed me that I could get involved with practicing, with coaching, meetings and everything. I'd be like a normal coach while finishing my undergrad degree. And so for me, that was automatic, great. I could come back home and be close to my family, which at the time my dad was a head basketball coach at Greenwood. And so being close around him and getting to watch my brother finish out his high school career was also very important for me.
So now take me back. You played for your dad?
I did play for my dad in high school.
Let's revisit that, because it's kind of that walk fine line. He's coaching your kid, you're coaching all the other kids. Talk a little bit about playing for your dad.
So it's actually a funny story is ever since I was a kid, I've only had one coach from 6th grade on until I graduated because my dad was my head coach all throughout. And so, so I played for him. It was a rough patch for both of us because we weren't very talented, and so we were both super competitive and wanted to win. And so there was a few rough patches, but now I would say that our relationship has grown, and we talk on a daily basis now about practice, about the team, about his team, and I got to go back this summer and help him coach. And so that was a neat opportunity for me to go back and actually pour back in and help him out while he helped me out with my career to this point. But yeah, I've only had one coach, and now it's kind of weird because this is my 4th year in college, and I've had 3 different head coaches, and so it's been an adjustment for me because I've only grown up only having one head coach.
And now you said you came close at home to watch your brother play. Did you have all those competitive games in the driveway?
Oh,
I know I did with my brothers.
Man, and he would hate for me to say this, but my older brother was always better than me until I got to high school, and then I kind of took that jump. And then my younger brother, he was the closest one, and we used to get into it. There might have been a few fights in the driveway during COVID. Can't tell you who won those. That's private information, but there were a few fights and a few punches thrown.
So you're the middle one.
I am the middle one.
As the oldest, I always got stuck playing the 1 in the 2v1 or something.
Yeah, no, it was kind of the other way. For whatever reason, my younger brother wanted to team up with my older brother, so I was the guy and I was doing 2v1. So I would say it kind of shaped me into the player I became because I was having to go 2-on-1 against my older brothers and my younger brother. So
good memories.
Yeah, great memories.
Now, as your role as special assistant to the head coach, what is your day to day? First off, tell me about your entire role, kind of what you do.
So I handle all of the social media. I have a group of academic guys. I handle all the freshmen plus a couple older guys. And then I have my individual groups. And so basically anytime a guy wants to get extra shots up, wants to get in the gym, get a few extra workout in, whatever, I handle those guys. They come to me and I put them through workouts and different stuff like that. And then I do normally like an assistant coach. I'm in all the meetings, talking about recruiting. I help with all the official visits, stuff like that, trying to plan and help out Coach Gibson and the rest of the staff in any way I can. That way is kind of the role I've taken on. I've done community service, a lot of different stuff like that. I'm kind of do all the behind the scenes stuff that no one thinks is important, but it has to be done.
How has your role expanded from when you started to having this few years of experience now?
So
what are some extra tasks you're taking on?
I mean, when I started, I came in just basically as a manager, and then I did a lot of the statting and after game watching film of the coaching staff in the coaching meetings. And then when Coach Gibson got hired, he kind of tried to tell me I could go home and kind of, don't have to be up here all the time. And I just kind of stuck around because we only had, I think, 7 guys in the roster, and we had to fill an 18-man roster. And so I hung around and helped Coach Brett out with recruiting and watching players and looking at the portal and giving Coach Brett names and stuff like that, and Coach Gibson names. And so it kind of took off from there. And then last year, same kind of thing. I helped out with recruiting a little bit. I did all the travel with the food-wise and making sure we had post-game, pre-game meals, everything like that. And then this year, kind of the same responsibilities, but I have gotten academic guys now. I've gotten my own workout guys. And then I've also picked up on scouting. So I have 3 or 4 games that I get to do the scouting report on. So that'll be a fun and interesting thing to add to my tool belt.
Yeah. It's always good that shows how you're growing, as a coach. So take me through what a normal day looks like just with a week of practice. What's a normal day?
So on a normal day, like if we have weights in the morning at 7:30, I usually try to get here an hour and a half to 2 hours before. For practice, it's usually 2.5 hours before practice. Just to try to make sure the court is clean. They have to get everything set up through water bottles, towels, practice jerseys, get everything set up usually an hour before, and then usually try to get on the court 30 minutes, 15, 30 minutes before, help guys rebound and shoot like that. And then practice normally, I usually have coaching the bigs. Coach Gibson usually gives me different assignment during practice to focus on and make sure we're doing that the correct way. And then after that, it's laundry, study hall with the guys. We have coaching meetings I go through and give my input on. And so that's just kind of a normal practice week. It's just kind of every day is the same. Early morning, late nights, try to make sure our team is headed in the right way.
And now, what does a game day look like?
So game days are a whole different beast. Usually it's really early mornings, try to make sure the court's clean. I got to set up jerseys. I got to make sure everything's printed off, make sure we have everything we need, make sure pre-game meal's done, make sure post-game meal's done. And then on the road is completely different because I usually wake up. I have to order the food. For lunch, I got to order the food for pre-game. Got to figure out post-game. And so home games are usually easier because it's a little bit less food, but on the road it's a lot of food, trying to make sure everything's organized, and you're kind of giving your job into the hands of a different person, hoping that they don't mess up. And so that's kind of always a fear of handling food.
I experienced that on one of my trips with a different team.
Yeah, so it's interesting.
Now, what about during the game? I see you out there, you got your whiteboard looking at defensive assignments, all that.
Yeah, so last year I got put in charge of defensive assignments, so basically matchups. And so if you've ever seen me on the court, I always have this big whiteboard with the black lines and numbers and names, and all the sorority girls like to call me Coach Whiteboard for whatever reason, because I have 14 million whiteboards sitting next to me. I got pens and markers and papers all flying around.
I see you looking this way, looking that way, trying to see who's sitting on the opposing bench. Just trying to say, all right, you got this guy, hey, you got that guy.
Other teams have caught on to me trying to look at who's in the game, so they'll try to cover up and protect who they got.
Game within the game.
So, yeah, it's interesting to say the least on trying to figure out who's in the game and who's not during media timeouts. And so if you ever see me just trying to swivel my head around, look, it's usually just trying to look at matchups and not what they're drawing.
And now you do a lot of behind the scenes work for our upcoming events. We brought the toy toss back last year. We got the education game this year. We're going to play in the middle of the afternoon. Bring in local students to the game. And also our High Five Fridays. You do a lot of behind the scenes work for those. Talk about, all the little details that go into those games that you handle.
So first, with community service is when Coach Gibson got hired, it was one of his main focal points. And it was something that I could take off of his plate. And so I immediately took it, started connecting with local schools around the Fort Smith area. And we started doing High Five Friday. We started reading. So all the stuff you see on social media with us going to schools is usually, I'm the one who plans it. I'm the one who gets our guys there, sets it all up. And so kind of just through that with talking with the local schools and stuff, we picked up the toy toss last year. And so I connected with local schools trying to get all the information out there about the toy toss. And we had a great turnout. But fortunately for me, Dylan Newell kind of took over. And he helped out a lot last year getting it set up, getting it running the right way. And so it was fortunate on our side that he was there in the case office to kind of help over. And the other side of the street, we like to call they have been, everyone in the case office, everyone in marketing has been fantastic to us. And it allows me to kind of take my foot off it this year. But we also picked up the education game this year. And so with the education game, I've been trying to get local schools to partner with us and come in and enjoy a game during I think the last week of classes they had before Christmas break. And it's just a fun way for kids to come watch us play against a good team and enjoy a good game.
I remember going to a bunch of games as a little kid, they got there screaming loud, it's a way to get them interested. Maybe they go home and say, hey, Mom, Dad, I want to go to a game, later on. Yeah, and that's kind of the idea, that we get a couple thousand kids in here and play a game, and it'd be a very interesting and fun game to play in. And so the toy toss game will be November 12th at 6:30 against University of the Ozarks, and the education game will be December 16th at 11 a.m. here against Dallas Christian. So you've had a busy couple summers.
Yeah.
It's still involved with basketball.
Yeah.
This past year, you did the NCAA Basketball Academy, and the previous year, you did, camps at you told me some pretty good universities,
Yeah.
NCAA Division I universities. Talk about those two experiences.
So first with the camps is I've went to a couple different places like KU, TCU, Creighton, a couple different Division I schools, just trying to get my name out there and connect and represent our program in the right way. And so that's always been fun, meeting new people, meeting people from other Division II schools, and like some of my best friends I've met from different camps and stuff like that. And then with the NCAA Basketball Academy, so I've actually gone the last 2 summers doing it. I got selected the first year, which was a small selection, and so I got picked. It was like the top 50, I think, managers in the country. And so I got selected, and we went to Memphis, and I spent 10 days in Memphis working that. And so I got selected among like Purdue guys, Clemson guys, like among these Power 5 institutions, and I'm just a small Division II guy that got picked. But
what were some of your duties there?
Yeah, so there we handle all the behind the scenes, making sure people get into their hotels the right way. The first night I got there, we had airport, and so I drove different coaches and players and their parents and stuff around. And I actually got to drive Tom Crean around Memphis, and so that was cool and interesting getting to meet him. And then we kind of handled the clock, shot clock, towels, stats, making sure the waters are filled, making sure everything's kind of going smooth. All the behind the scenes stuff that really you just don't think about is what our job and responsibilities were.
And so with that, you were a manager there. The team is still looking for managers here.
Yeah.
How can one get involved with that?
Yeah, so I mean, we're always looking for great managers, people who want to get involved in coaching or basketball after, guys who want to get into the social media aspect, want to videos, graphic designs, different stuff like that. We're always looking for great guys and girls who want to do it, and so it's just real easy. We have a social media on our Instagram. If you just DM us, or you can email me or Coach Gibson. And kind of get you set up that way. But we're always looking for great help and great people.
And what is that social media handle there?
UAFS MBB on Instagram.
There you go. UAFS MBB on Instagram. Reach out to Caleb if you're looking to become a manager. You can get some great skills out of it.
Yeah.
Work with the team. So a lot of great things you can do there. So going back, we got our question for the guest, and
Okay.
Cadence asks, what is your dream meal?
It's a tough one, but because I had McDonald's the other day, I'm gonna go 2 chicken Big Macs, because they are absolutely amazing if you haven't tried one yet, and probably a Powerade with no ice, and probably some kind of ice cream, and a crumble cookie.
Interesting.
That's my perfect meal.
You sure that's not one of your post-game meals? Because I heard yesterday you guys naming off restaurants.
I mean,
here, and there. It's like you just must be living off post-game meals.
Hey, you get used to it. It works. It works. I mean, we don't really have McDonald's, but a few of the places are.
Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the UAFS Lions Athletics Podcast. A reminder, volleyball is at home this Saturday at 1 p.m. against number 10 Central Oklahoma at the Stubblefield Center. And as we mentioned earlier, cross country runs at the MIAA Championships Saturday in St. Joseph, Missouri. Again, thanks for tuning in this time, and we look forward to you joining us next week.
Go Lions.